Welcome to my Season 1 review of the Disney Plus show Skeleton Crew. I hope you find this review informative and helps you to decide whether or not you will watch it or not.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing good. Hope you all are doing happy, doing blessed, doing safe, and doing well. This here is my TV review of Skeleton Crew. And it just ended its run as of recording this video, but it's still available over on Disney Plus. Now, we're going to break this review down into multiple areas. The first area will be the basics. What is the show about? How many episodes, how long is the run length, how many seasons, the story, timeline, the basics of the show, okay? Then we're going to go into the pros, what I liked about the show, okay? And we're going to talk about all the things I liked about this season and this season alone. Then we're going to go into the cons, what I didn't like about this season, the mistakes they made, that sort of thing. And then finally, I'll give you a final verdict on this show. Now, before I go forward, I do want to give you a little bit of a spoiler warning because I am going to try to keep this as spoiler free as possible, okay? But I cannot guarantee that I will. So from this moment forward, you will see a spoiler tag at the corner of your screen. And this is just to let you know there could be spoilers for season 1 of Skeleton Crew. So if you have not seen season 1 of Skeleton Crew yet, and you don't want to be spoiled, please go watch it and then come back for this review. And I will attempt to keep it as spoiler free as possible, okay? But I'm making no guarantees. So from this moment forward, there could be spoilers for season 1 of Skeleton Crew. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, spoiler warning, you've been warned. Possible spoilers for season 1 of Skeleton Crew. So, with the introductions out of the way and the warnings out of the way, let's talk about Star Wars Skeleton Crew. So, the basics. This is the basics of the show. And this is the first season of Skeleton Crew, okay? The season lasts around 8 episodes long, and each episode is around 49 minutes in length. That does not include commercials, okay? And the basic story of Skeleton Crew is you have a group of kids on a planet where they find a hidden pirate ship, and they go inside the ship, and it shoots them off into the galaxy, and they have to try and find their way home. That's what the entire season is all about. Along the way, they encounter pirates and droids and a mystery surrounding their planet. Okay? And the timeline of this takes place after Return of the Jedi, but before The Force Awakens. Okay? So you're looking at the timeline around The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. That big gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So, let's talk about the pros now. What I liked about this show. And the first thing I really liked about this show was this was a good-hearted adventure meant for anyone. Now, it was obviously geared towards children. I get that. Obviously geared toward kids. But if you were a Star Wars fan or a fan of shows like The Goonies or Stranger Things, then you could get behind this. Okay? This was just a simple, good-hearted adventure. You didn't need to know a whole lot of lore. You didn't need to know a whole lot of, story elements from the other Star Wars stuff to really understand what was going on here. At its core, it was just a basic adventure. Group of kids find a pirate ship takes them on an adventure. If you like stories like The Goonies or Stranger Things or Treasure Island or Treasure Planet, those type of stories, then you're going to love Skeleton Crew, okay? You absolutely are going to love it. The second thing I liked was you care about the characters, okay? You care about these characters, okay? You want these characters to succeed, okay? There have been other Star Wars series where you really didn't connect with the characters. But in this show, there is something for everyone, okay? There is at least one character you can connect with. Whether you're the tech-savvy person or the person who likes to take charge or people who are unsure of themselves, there is a character for you to connect with, okay? And it makes you care about these characters, okay? And it gives you some great moments with all of these characters. But yeah, like, it makes you care about these characters, and there is a character for you to connect with. Whether you're old or young, there is someone in this show you can connect with. So, with this being Star Wars and Disney and Lucasfilm, we have to answer the question, is this woke? I can sit here and tell you one of the pros of this show, one of the things I liked about this show, was that it did not try and push a message. Okay? At least from my viewings of it, and I've seen it twice already, it did not try to push a message. Okay? I'm so happy for that. Okay? Because we just came off The Acolyte. Okay? Which was trying to push all kinds of messages. Okay? This show focused on the adventure of these kids and did not try to push some message. Yes, one of the main characters in this show has two moms, but their total screen time throughout the entire series is maybe a minute and a half, and they acted like parents, okay? It didn't try and push some woke message about, LGBTQIA nonsense, okay? This was not a woke show. This was a good show, okay, that did not try to push a message, okay? And I think that if they had tried to push that message, it would have ruined the show. Because I think Star Wars fans are tired of the message. They're tired of the nonsense. So I am so happy they did not try to push some type of message out there about this political or that political thing, that they just focused on the adventure. And the couple that I'm talking about in this show acted like parents. Their kid acted like a normal kid, not some woke kid, just a normal kid. They acted normal, okay? And so I am so happy they didn't try to push that, identity politics nonsense. So, another advantage this show has, in my opinion, was that this show was full of callbacks to the 80s and early 90s era. Now, what do I mean by this? Okay, one of the first scenes in the movie is Wim pretending to be a Jedi with his friend Neil. There is not a person who was a young kid in the 80s, early 90s, who did not do that. Okay? Another throwback was Wim playing with little action figures. I played with G.I. Joes, okay? So I know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? And I know exactly where they're coming from with that. And another thing was that in order to get to the pirate ship, Wim had to kind of explore his neck of the woods. There is not a kid alive. Okay? There is not a kid out there who did not live during the 80s and 90s who did not do that. Who would go out to his local neighborhood before the internet, before TV, cable, before watching stuff on YouTube, who would just go out and have little adventures and pretend they were this or that. Okay? And this show had so much nostalgia in it. Okay? And so many throwbacks to those 80s and 90s era stuff. Whether you're talking about action figures, pretending to be Jedi and Sith, just being let off the chain to go explore your local area. If you are an 80s or an early 90s kid, you will remember all these, and it will feel like such a love letter to you and to that generation. Okay, to that time period. Heck, some of the buildings, okay, some of the scenery you see in the early episodes would seem more like something you would see in the Goonies or in maybe the original Karate Kid movies than you would in Star Wars. Okay? So the nostalgia is so heavy on this. And I personally liked it because they did it in a tasteful way, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And finally, the final thing I liked about this show was that it left enough wiggle room for a season 2. You know, they didn't try and wrap everything up in season 1. Okay? It left enough mystery, enough of these threads out there for a season 2. Okay? And I really do hope there is a season 2. Okay? But it left enough threads open and it answered enough questions while, asking more questions that I think it did set the stage for a bigger and better season 2. And I thoroughly enjoyed that fact. Okay? Now, season 1 did answer some questions and we did have resolutions to some things. But it did leave enough wiggle room available for a season 2 with these kids and some of the other characters we found out about along the way. So, Skeleton Crew is not a perfect show, okay? There are some things that I do not like about it. And we're going to talk about those right now. We're going to talk about what I did not like about season 1 of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. The first thing I did not like was the first 2 episodes. They were very slow, okay? And what I mean by that is you didn't really get to the heart of the show until episode 3. When episode 3 hit, it kickstarted everything, okay? But for a season that only has 8 episodes, to really get to the good stuff by episode 3, you've already taken up, 1/5, 25% of your show? So yeah, I did not like those first 2 episodes. They were such a slow slog to get through, okay? And I understand what they were doing. This is a new IP, okay? In terms of it being in Star Wars, but this is technically a new show, okay? But I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to set up the characters, what was going on, all that, okay? I understand that, okay? I just felt they could have done it better in those first 2 episodes, okay? And it's just such a slow start to what turned out to be a pretty decent series, okay? But, for some people out there, if they don't get hooked by the first 2 episodes, they're not going to stick with the show, okay? And I think that really did a disservice to this show was the fact that it really didn't pick up until episode 3. Okay? That those first 2 episodes were slow going. I mean, just so slow going. Okay? And that it really wasn't until episode 3 that you started feeling like this was either a Goonies show or a Star Wars show. Okay? And so I really do think that did a disservice to this show. So the next thing that I really didn't like, okay, was it seemed like throughout this entire series, the boys were causing the problems and the girls were coming up with solutions. It seemed like the girls were always in charge and the boys were just following their lead. Okay? And I'll give you a prime example. In the first episode, and this is why I put a spoiler warning ahead of this. In the first episode, this whole adventure starts out because Wim pushes a button. Okay? Whereas Fern told him not to push that button. Okay? It seemed like everything that happened, okay, it came down to the girls having the solutions and the boys having the problems. Okay? It came down to that every single time. Alright? I did not like that, okay? Because it really doesn't help them grow any, alright? And I just did not like it, I just did not like the fact that it seemed like they were propping up the girls, but bringing down the boys. When I felt that the entire young cast, all the kids, should have been on equal footing. There should have been times where, based on Fern's experience, she should have been in charge. And should have been times where Wim should have been in charge. And there should have been times where KB was in charge and Neil was in charge. And that didn't happen. It just felt like the girls were in charge and the boys were supposed to just follow their lead. Rarely, did that kind of switch up a little bit, okay? Rarely did that switch up a little bit. And I felt that was a real detriment to this show, was that the girl bossing was heavy for at least the first part of the series. Now, when you get to like the middle part of the series, they tone down the girl bossing a lot, okay? And it does become a lot more even. But for the first part of the series, okay, the girl bossing was heavy. Real heavy. And it seemed like all the time the girls were coming up with solutions and the guys were causing the problems that the girls had to fix. And I just didn't like that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about and what I did not like about this show was Wim. Now, I liked him as a character, okay? But I felt that he missed out on his character arc, okay? Now, what am I talking about? Well, let me kind of explain. At the beginning of the series, Wim's got these fantastical ideas about Jedi, okay? He's got these, vision of Jedis being heroes and all this other stuff. He's got rose-colored glasses when it comes to Jedi, okay? And throughout the series, you see Wim realizing that it's not all like that, okay? But when the ending happens, he doesn't have those rose-colored glasses on for Jedi anymore. But he has them now on for starfighter pilots. Okay? Even after everything he's experienced, he still keeps those rose-colored glasses on. But instead of having them on for Jedi, he's now having them for starfighter pilots and people who fly starships. Okay? I felt that could have been done betterly. That could have been done better. Okay? I mean, you have Fern over here. She grew a little bit, where she realized that not everyone's going to be able to do what she does, and that people are different. Whereas at the beginning of the series, she thought that everyone could do what she does, etc. Then you had KB, who thought that she was always going to be alone because of the way she looked and stuff, and realizing that she wasn't. Okay? And that even though she couldn't do what Fern could do, that she could still be Fern's friend, that she could still help Fern and all that stuff. And then you got Neil over here. Neil went and he had his own little character arc. But he's about as bad as Wim, almost. In that, throughout the series, he was the one always advocating for peace. Always advocating for nonviolence. And only in a few instances did he actually do something and actually do something violent. Okay? What you would consider violent. But by the end of the series, he was still that person that, was always advocating for nonviolence, even though he saw several times that sometimes you have to fight. But the one that missed out the most on the character arc was Wim, because he still has those rose-colored glasses on, okay? He still has those rose-colored glasses on. And now, whereas they're not on for Jedi, they're now on for starfighter pilots and pilots of starships and starships in general, okay? And by the end of the series, he took them off for Jedi, but put them back on for starships and starfighter pilots and stuff. And I just felt that was kind of a step backward for Wim, and I felt that they could have done it differently, all right? And maybe they will in season 2, Maybe they will help him grow in season 2, if there is a season 2. And I hope there is. But I felt that this season, they should have taken the rose-colored glasses off of Wim. And that would have helped him grow a whole lot more. Okay? And that was something that I did not like about the series, was I really felt that while everyone had their own particular character arc, okay, of their own particular character growth, Wim seemed to be missing out on one. So now it's time for my final verdict. Let me say Skeleton Crew Season 1 is a good-hearted adventure that mixes many of the elements you would see in Goonies and Treasure Island, as well as a lot of nostalgia from the 80s and early 90s into the Star Wars universe. Seeing the universe from a new perspective, and that from a child, was very interesting, and I liked it a lot, okay? However, at times, I did not like the fact that it seemed like the women always had the answers, while the men always seemed to be causing problems. If you can get over this point, okay, as well as some of the other things I mentioned that I did not like, I think you'll have a great time, okay? I think this show, yes, it's mainly for children, okay? I'm not going to lie. But it is open to anyone. Okay, and I think that if there is someone you're trying to get into Star Wars, this would be a good place to start them in. Okay, this would be a good show to start them in terms of introducing them to Star Wars, because with this show, you don't have to know a whole lot of lore to get behind this show. In this show, you don't have to know what happened to Alderaan, what happened in the Old Republic, what happened in the New Republic, or any of that stuff. Okay. I think this is a show, while geared toward children, this is a show for anyone. Okay? Whether you're a Star Wars fan, a non-Star Wars fan, a Star Wars hater, whatnot. I think you will find something to enjoy in this show. Okay? And if you can get over a few of the problems I mentioned earlier, I think you will have a great time watching this show with not only your friends, but your family as well. So, at the end of the day, the final score I give Star Wars Skeleton Crew is 7 out of 10 stars. And the reason I do that is because it has a few problems, but I think that overall it is a good story and a good show to add to the Star Wars universe. Well, that was my final verdict for Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it either convinces you or not convinces you to watch Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I enjoyed the show. I hope it does have a season 2. But look, check out my other video sites as well as my social media at the end of this video. Leave a like and comment what you thought of my review overall. I will see you guys in the next video and in the next stream. Laters.
Thank you for watching my TV show review. I hope you have found it informative. Please leave a like and comment and tell me what you thought, and if you can share this out. If you can, I would appreciate it. There will be more reviews, so keep an eye out for them. My video and social links are now showing, so please check them out sometime. I will see you in the next video and the next stream. Laters.